everyone. So let's talk about maths. See, when it talks about the mathematics paper for NDA examination, so we have discussed the syllabus in many times in our classes. So for out of those different chapters, different topics from your NDA syllabus, one of the most important topic, or you can say that one of the most ignorant topic is permutation and combination. As we know that permutation and combination is not so much tough if you compare this part with calculus, if you compare this part with vector, but individually permutation and combinations has carrying so much concept that basically going to help you in probability also. That are basically going to help you different concept of mathematics. Now I am not going to discuss the core concept of permutation and combination because a short video is not enough to give you the all about the all idea behind the permutation and combination, but just I am going to try to give you the basic idea of permutation and combination, the small very small details that many students skip when they study this chapter. What are they? Suppose I am taking the chapter as permutation and combination. So when I'm talking about permutation and combination, in one word, we can say that this is all about arrangement, right? Now, when you open the NCRT of class 11 maths, the chapter permutation and combination. So when we study this chapter, basically some of the students do the mistake that they directly jump into the permutation. They are skipping the very first topic was there, that is the fundamental principle of arithmetic. As you know, the famous philosopher Gauss says that mathematics is the queen of all subjects and arithmetic is the queen of mathematics. So arithmetics is so important for your mathematics journey. But now thing is that when it talks about the fundamental principle of arithmetic, why it is so important and why I'm talking about this part in permutation and combination, that will be a different case. See, when you talks about the permutation and combination, you have to digest this principle. Most of the students skip this part and they directly jump into the permutation, and they ultimately they are getting a burden to this chapter. So what this fundamental principle of arithmetic is talking about, let's briefly discuss about this. Now this core principle have two ideas. The ideas are fundamental principle of fundamental principle of addition and fundamental principle of multiplication. This is the two cases we have to learn. See, when I'm talking about the fundamental principle of addition and when I'm talking about the fundamental principle of arithmetic, both of them are equally very important when it talks about the permutation and combination questions. Let's take an example to understand this whole scenario. Let us suppose now I am in Guwahati. I am in Guwahati. Suppose I have to make a journey towards Dibrugarh. I have to make a journey towards Dibrugarh. Obviously, Jorhat is in between. Practically, it is also true that Jorhat is in between. Now, when you take the journey from Guwahati to Dibrugarh, let us suppose I have to cross Jorhat. And from Guwahati to Jorhat, the road I am covering, let us take it is an R1, road 1. Again, from Jorhat to Dibrugarh, I am taking the road as R2. Okay, this is the first case. This is the case number 1. When you're taking the journey from Guwahati to Dibrugarh, but ultimately you are crossing a separate destination, Jorhat. Again, let us take a case 2 here. Case 2. Again, same. Suppose I have to take the journey from Guwahati and I have to reach Dibrugarh. I can go via Jorhat or I can go via suppose Tezpur. These are the suppose two separate roads that ultimately get your destination Guwahati to Dibrugarh via Jorhat, Guwahati to Dibrugarh via Tezpur. This is suppose my R1. What is R1 in this case? Guwahati to Dibrugarh via Jorhat. This is suppose your R2. What is R2? R2 is basically the journey from Guwahati to Dibrugarh via Tezpur. Now, carefully observe these two cases. When I'm talking about my ultimate journey or when I'm talking about my ultimate goal, in both the two cases, the ultimate goal is from Guwahati to Dibrugarh. Guwahati to Dibrugarh. So the very much important thing is here that the ultimate goal is Guwahati to Dibrugarh. The ultimate goal is Guwahati to Dibrugarh. I'm not concerning about the Jorhat. I have to reach Dibrugarh. That is the ultimate goal. In this case also, the ultimate goal is from Guwahati to Dibrugarh. But the scenario are different. When you consider this case, you must observe that both of the routes R1 and R2, R1 and R2 are compulsory. R1 and R2 are mandatory to get your complete goal. That means if you skip any of them, suppose I am skipping R1 only with R2, I cannot get Dibrugarh. I cannot get my ultimate goal, right? But in this case, either you are skipping R1, either you are skipping R2. If you take any one of them, you get your ultimate goal. You can take R1 also, you can take R2 also. Both of them are not mandatory simultaneously. You can take any one of them to complete your journey. This is the difference. So in this case, what I'm saying that R1 and R2 are compulsory. R1 and R2 are compulsory to get your ultimate goal. In this case, your R1 and R2 is not compulsory to get your ultimate goal. So when you are basically facing the questions like the two, the three, the four, many as much as things, the arrangements are suppose all of the arrangements given are compulsory to get your answer, to get the uh, to get the spirit of the question, that you know that you are getting this case. But as soon as you are getting the arrangements like all of them are not mandatory, all of them are not compulsory at or at the same time, that you have these cases. Case number one is fundamental principle of uh, multiplication, R1 cross R2. Second case is fundamental principle of addition, R1 plus R2. That simply means when you take that all the arrangements are compulsory, then you have to go with the multiplication. When you get all the cases are all the arrangements are not compulsory at the time, then you have to go with the addition. Let's take a quick example. See, just I am just hoping that you know about the permutation and combination. You know these things, NPR, NCR. I'm not talking about these things. These are very common. Okay, I'm just hoping that you know these things. Now let us discuss about the this fundamental principle of arithmetic. We are sticking with fundamental principle of arithmetic only. Question is like suppose like this. What can question I can take? Suppose there are yes, okay. There are four men and there are five women. Four men and five women are there. You have to make a committee. Suppose you have to make a committee out of them, four men and five women. The committee should consist suppose four people where at least two women should be there. At least two women should be there. The question is like that, that you have to form a committee by using four men and five women, such that the committee should consist of four people, given that at least two women should be there in the committee. So what can you get? First of all, in this is a question of combination. That is again a separate thing, that why we can use permutation in some cases, why we can use combination in some cases. That is a separate thing. We'll discuss in some other video. But now these things, I'm just quite obvious that this is a combination question. First of all, there are four men and there are five women, and you have to take four people committee, at least two women. First of all, let us take the women scenario. That is a five women, and you have to take two at a time. That is the 5C2, the women. Okay, 5C2, that is the omen. Now see, 5C2, but the committee is for four people. That means the other two people will be men. That will be 4C2. So now the committee is complete. 2, 2 plus this 4. Okay. Now again, this scenario can also be completed like this because at least two women, na? There can be three women, 5C3. At least two women, there can be three women, 5C3. But as soon as you are taking three women for the committee, you are left with only one position for the man. So that will be your 4C1 and your committee is complete. Again, since there is no condition about the man, you can take all of the four people of the committee as women. That means you can take your 5C4 also. 5C4 also for making the committee. Now observe the pattern. 5C2, 4C2. This is two members, this is two members. If you are neglecting, if you are avoiding any one of them, your committee is not completed. You have to take 5C2, 4C2 simultaneously. Then only your committee will be completed. That means fundamental principle of multiplication will be there. Again, come to this. Three people, one people, 3 plus 4. That means the committee is completed only when you are going to take the multiplication in between. Now, this is already completed 5C4. That is the separate thing. Now, this is your one case, this is your one case, this is your one case. These three cases are individually now completed. You don't have to take this and this together to complete your committee. This is complete committee, this is your complete committee, this is your complete committee. That means these three arrangements are individually completed and they don't need any of the other to make the committee complete. That means if you take this position, it will be occupied by addition by the concept of fundamental principle of addition. Now, if you don't know about the fundamental principle of arithmetic, you just take this multiplication addition part as remembering thing. But see, mathematics is not all about the mugging up. You don't have to mug up the things. You have to know the concept. But in this way, you have to know where to use the multiplication or where to use the addition. I am just hoping that in this small video, I am able to give you the basic idea of fundamental principle of arithmetic. So in some other video, we are going to take different types of questions for permutation and combination. I'll also explain about the difference between permutation and combination. So till now, I'm just stopping it here. I just hope that you get the idea between the fundamental principle of addition and fundamental principle of multiplication. Thank you very much.